Joining today's Cabinet Oaths, please welcome Premier Tim Houston, and we'll start with questions in the room.
Thank you.
Good morning, Premier. You were in favor of Energy East back when it was on the books, and there's another pipeline that your counterparts are talking about now. Are you in favor of that being extended to Atlantic Canada, and have you talked to any of the other premiers about it?
I haven't chatted with them about it, but I was always a fan of Energy East. Remain a fan of the idea. The Energy East concept is actually why I named the Wind West project Wind West, because I thought the energy can come east and wind can go west too. But we have a lot to offer in the energy space for sure. So we have our own projects we're developing that we're going to need to get to market. So we're focused on that. But a national pipeline is a good thing too.
Would there be any economic spin-off? It would probably terminate in St. John. Would there be any economic benefit for Nova Scotia, or would it be more like energy security, that type of
It's
thing?
energy security for the country. It's good. I mean, obviously in St. John's they have the import LNG facility there. We actually have a fully permitted LNG facility here too that could be an export facility. There's a big difference between the import and export, and I've been told that to convert the import facility to an export would be in the billions, could be $4 or $5 billion. To build a brand new export facility is more, but not much. Could be $5 or $6 billion. So with a pipeline like that, that could be for export. Then maybe that's what stimulates the construction of a facility here in Nova Scotia. So it's good for the country, and it could be really good for Nova Scotia. So I'm in favor of it.
U.S. ambassadors said that he doesn't think that Canada needs to build that. We already have a way to move petroleum east through the U.S. Should we be listening to that guy?
I don't know that anyone else does. So I don't know.
There, I set you up for
What can you tell?
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. You almost had coffee come flying at you. What's the impetus for the Chamber of Commerce tour you're getting ready to go on?
I think the timing is right. Just for this stage that our country is at, but that our province is at, with the deficit, but with challenges for sure. But massive opportunities in energy that we're talking about, in natural resources, in defense. So just to get back out to Nova Scotia, so we've identified a number of chambers for, I'll call that like an initial tour. If others are interested, then we're willing to try to schedule those in as well at some point and go and see them, talk to Nova Scotians. And that's kind of one part of the engagement with Nova Scotia plan we have. I did commit during the budget process that we do kind of a budget tour as well. That would be a separate tour that we're still planning that as well. So, but I think it's just been even since the House and just being back out talking to Nova Scotians in just non-confrontational situations. People are interested in what's possible for this province and the opportunities that are before us, and they're realistic about the challenges. So those discussions are what kind of keeps me going, gives me energy and drive. So the more we can do that, the better. So we'll do that through a chamber tour. We'll do that through other mechanisms. We'll do it through a budget tour. So I'm excited about it.
How
On the
much of
budget
that
tour-
is? Sorry, go ahead.
How much weight do you expect you'll put on the feedback you get during the budget tour?
Oh, we listen carefully. I mean, there's some realities of life, right? So the pot of money that we have, the revenue pot, that's kind of, it is what it is right now. We're working hard to grow that, but there's a certain limitation there. The priorities of the government are pretty well known: healthcare, housing. We're not interested in raising taxes, right? So these are certain priorities. But when you walk through all that, then there's another chunk of money that's there too, that is invested in Nova Scotians, and we'll listen carefully to Nova Scotians on what their priorities would be for that, and we'll work as closely as we can to that. But there's some non-negotiables, but there's some things that we can be more flexible on.
What kind of format do you expect the budget tour to take?
We're putting the plan together. We're kind of doing a bit of internal discussion on that, but I suspect there'll be almost like a commission of a steady group of people who would tour the province and do town halls, and then an online component too. there'll be an opportunity for Nova Scotians to have their say.
Commission elected officials and bureaucrats, or who would be part of it?
Mostly I think it's. I'm not even sure there'll be any elected officials on there. I'm not sure how many bureaucrats would be on there, but certainly we would have like community leaders, people.
Premier, will the province renew the contract for the Cat Ferry beyond this season? And if not, what alternatives are being explored?
So the connection is really important. Like I've certainly come to appreciate that over my time. For a number, it's important. We're fans of the connection. We're, I guess, in the process of trying to negotiate with the United States on a few of those aspects. Hopefully I don't have to negotiate with the ambassador on it. I think Brian helped me there, but we're trying to negotiate with the United States. So you can imagine how difficult that might be in today's environment.
Consider another boat, Premier.
Sure.
I mean, it's the connection, not necessarily the agreement with.
Yeah, we want to do what's right for the province, and I think that connection is important. So we're looking at all options there.
I understand you don't want to negotiate in public, but your concern must be that the vessel's crewed by Americans and paid for by Nova Scotians. Is that?
I think the lease is there. The lease is expiring, right? So there's a few moving parts to it, I would say. It's a relationship between Canada and the United States, and I don't think there are many relationships between Canada and the United States right now that aren't difficult. This is one of them.
Looking for a long-term deal here with the Cat Ferry? Would that be a win here, or might we see another year or 2-year deal like we saw previously, just to hold us over in the time?
I think any time it's shorter, there's always the uncertainty of what's going to happen next time. We want to make sure, certainly for the community, that people are comfortable investing in the community. So I think the more stability is better.
I wanted to revisit the Subsurface Energy Research Development and Investment Program that was announced last December. I'm wondering how many, if any, exploration agreements the province has signed with energy companies at this point.
Yeah, so there was a certain there was interest in the process. I think it was 7, and we went through, kind of vetted some of those through. I believe there's an active negotiation with at least one of those parties. So it is our hope that those negotiations can be successful and we can get going with the drilling at the appropriate time. We've also, I think, indicated that there'll be another round 2 on the same program. So we're committed to the program.
How do you know, given what little detail seems to have been worked out yet for what Accelerate Nova Scotia is going to be all about, how do you know that Karen Oldfield is the right person to run it?
Well, I guess let's step back a second. If you look at healthcare in the province, I mean, the new need to family practice list numbers are out today. We continue to make progress on that. I think nationally, people are looking at Nova Scotia and seeing a lot of the good things that have happened here. So Karen, first off, is an extraordinary person. She's an incredible Nova Scotian. She's a person who cares about this province and has dedicated her life to, this portion particularly, and previous as well, but this portion to public service. This is good. Those are good things. And she's delivered results at Nova Scotia Health Authority. And those results are obvious. So on that basis, but if you look at what we're trying to do with Accelerate, we can lead the country from this province. We've done it on a number of things. Internal trade, we do it on some of the energy stuff, we're certainly doing it on healthcare. So we can lead. And I think if you look at some of the healthcare innovations and some of the initiatives that we have here that are active, that other people are trying to replicate, let's take an example of the app. That app that we have right now, Ontario is or will put out a proposal for somebody to build them an app. Well, Nova Scotia should respond to that. Nova Scotia should be the one delivering that app to Ontario. We've done it before. We're highly qualified. That's a very valuable product that we have developed and invested in on behalf of Nova Scotians to have. So that's one thing that Accelerate can do. We could respond to that. I think this is really an important question. So if I can, I just want to spend a little bit of time on it, because I think the app is one thing. the clinical trial space is another area where obviously I was just at Bio and had significant discussions down there with jurisdictions, but also pharma companies. I hope Nova Scotians will opt in for the consents. There are a lot of clinical trials happening in the world. Clinical trials are really important to advance research, but to give people hope. We should have more of those clinical trials in Nova Scotia. We should and we can, but we need a focus on that. Karen
It would kind
can
of
focus on that for sure. Yeah.
thing that-
And I want to give two more, right? 'Cause, well, we did the work. Might as well talk about
I just don't want to run out of time, that's all.
Okay, well, I won't let that happen, but I do think this is important. The third example that I think is important is that's kind of maybe we don't talk about enough. I'd say is the command center. This is a technology that is live in Nova Scotia that gives us a view to all the beds in the system and how they're being used and not being used, and has really improved the efficiency of bed use. Other jurisdictions want that. They're trying to figure out how we did it. Yeah. So that would be something that Karen has been intimately involved in. She's been intimately involved in the app, intimately involved in clinical trials, intimately involved in the command center. So again, Nova Scotia could take that expertise and consult, sell, whatever, work with other jurisdictions to help bring them there. And the last thing is just on the AI space in general. And I think I will put maybe a bit of a exclamation point on Accelerate, because we did see the federal government invest $200 million in AI around healthcare. Two organizations, $100 million each. And we'll have discussions, more extensive discussions with the federal government on this. But much of what they're trying to accomplish with that $200 million, we actually have done. We've done it. So there's an opportunity for the country to, instead of like hire somebody for $100 million to try to frame this up and build it, to take what Nova Scotia has and build on that. But these are opportunities that exist right before our very eyes, that people are busy doing things and don't have the time to explore those. There's no person in this country, certainly not in this province, that is more qualified to talk about those things and what we have done and how it can benefit. And that's what Karen will do at Accelerate. And any revenues that we can generate off what we have already done will go right back into the healthcare system in Nova Scotia, supporting Nova Scotians. This is a incredibly positive moment for our province and ultimately our country, because we can lead from Nova Scotia. We already have.
The reason I ask is, and it's
I didn't cover it in that.
in no way is it casting aspersions on Ms. Oldfield.
No.
But if the aim is to broaden revenue generation and commercialization and expand on all of these things that you say we've developed that people want, I guess my question is, wouldn't it make sense to have an open competition for this job, given the importance of it? Ms. Oldfield very well could win that competition, but
Sure.
there may be people elsewhere with expertise well beyond hers who could supercharge what you're trying to do even more so.
And in many situations, that would be true. It's not true in this one. And the reason it's not true in this one is because there are the people who understand what we have built in Nova Scotia, and the blood, sweat, and tears, the mistakes, all the stuff that we've had to overcome over 5 years to get to where we are, the people who understand that are Karen and her team. So maybe we could bring somebody else in and they could spend a year trying to figure out, well, what did you do and how did you do that and what were the challenges and what did you learn from that? Maybe. But why would we do that when we have the architect of all that right here before our very eyes who's saying, I'm still ready to help the province?
I came up with the idea for Accelerate Nova Scotia. Was that Karen?
I don't think it was Karen specifically, but I think it was kind of like, I believe it evolved out of a discussion around the things that I just talked about. We've made these investments, we've built this system, others want it. How do we get ourselves in that discussion and how do we focus on it? And Accelerate came out of the focus issue.
Who would have been in on that discussion?
Certainly me, but probably anyone else who would listen to me, to be honest.
Why does it make sense to have this agency outside of the health department?
The structural stuff would have been, I would have came up with the idea we should be doing this. The structural stuff, there would have been, somebody would have had some ideas on that, but I certainly wouldn't have objected to the way that they have structured it. I think the connections between the Department of Health, Nova Scotia Health Authority, now Accelerate, the Innovation Hub, those are relationships. They're all tight relationships. So, but having it in a special purpose vehicle or something, I'm okay with that.
You don't see Accelerate in any way as being redundant, given the research hub and the work that goes on there?
No, they'll work together. In fact, I think maybe Karen will be based there. I'm not sure. But I mean, I didn't even talk about the innovation hub. Maybe I should. Maybe you want me to go back. But they all work together. They're all important things.
So how big a staff, how big a budget will Accelerate have?
I think most of the budget is, if there's an incremental increase, I'm not expecting it to be very much, because most of it is already people who are kind of in there, who are that team. I said that's intimately involved in that, but we're not building some massive organization there. This is going to be a lean, focused, and that's the benefit, I think, of having Karen lead it.
So is Accelerate going to take some people out of the department or the hub?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it, but I have a couple names in my mind of people who were kind of instrumental in building some of these things, who would be really valuable too. Let's just say, I don't know what Ontario will do with their app. But I mean, I do know that they want one, and that they're probably going to put. So let's just say that we responded, and hopefully we're successful. Then I would think the people who built ours, internal people, they would be valuable for that team. So it's that type of a thing.
So I want to give you a...
There were a few questions in the room about submarines, so just want to make sure we get.
Can I just ask one more question on this? Because I know we're going to speak to opposition after, and I know a line that we surely will hear, so I want to give you a chance to preemptively respond to that. What would you say to people who look at this arrangement and say, this is the Premier creating a job for a close political ally now that she's finished at the Health Authority?
Well, I already gave you my response to that. This is the most crucial person to what we're doing here. It's not creating a job. She could have stayed at the Health Authority. I mean, it's kind of I know it's the opposition way of things, but I mean, it's I think as Nova Scotians, we should be proud of some of these healthcare initiatives that have been built by Nova Scotians, and we should not be shy about saying that they have value to the rest of the country.
Premier, when do you expect that Nova Scotia will start seeing some federal money to set up the submarine home?
Well, it's a big contract. It's a good contract. It's good for Nova Scotia and good for the country. I'm really pleased with what's happened there. Two good bidders. I met with both of them. We have relationships with both of them. So,
until the contract is signed, sealed, delivered.
I think what I would say is, the signed contract will be an important moment. But I do already see the defense team actually making some positioning moves around the province. Some of that's we see publicly in news releases, but some of it I just see it happening. So I'm excited about the investments that will be made in defense in Nova Scotia.
Bulk of the investment would have to wait until the contract is signed. Is that right?
I think most of that. I think that's probably a fair statement. The Germans aren't going to start to build a submarine maintenance facility until they have a signed contract, for example, right?
And do you expect any provincial dollars to go into this work?
Not at this time, no. But I haven't been asked for any. But if there's the way to further it, then we always listen to those discussions. But it's not been an ask. There's no ask this morning.
Will the province have to put infrastructure in place to support this?
The answer is yes, but we're already doing that. So housing, health, all the stuff we're talking about in healthcare.
The provincial contribution to this.
So far, I mean, that's the things where are the people going to come from, right? Where's the workers going to come from? So as part of our plan on that, we've already been executing. The MOST program was part of that, right? So front running that. The stuff we've done on the apprentices, incredible progress happening there. I think the goal was, I can get you the exact number, but I think our goal was 5,000 apprentices for 2026. I think it was almost double that. It's all said and done. The housing plan, we started a few years ago, progress. So all of that type of infrastructure those are the things that give the Prime Minister and the federal government the confidence that Nova Scotia is the place to make these investments. They're all part of that discussion. And we've had these plans. We've been executing on these plans. And now we have a Prime Minister who sees the value and is also executing with us. Okay?
All right, that's
All right,
time,
thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right, Minister McGuire is up next. Ready to go?
Hello, sir.
Hey.